The sleek black hull of the human ship Horizon cut through the darkness of space. Captain Tay sat in his command chair, his eyes fixed on the main screen. Stars stretched out before him, and somewhere ahead waited the beings known as the Galactic. "Hegemony, are we in range yet?" Tay asked, his voice calm but firm. Officer Kang, a thin man with sharp eyes, nodded from his station. "Yes, Captain. We can send our greeting message now." Tay took a deep breath. This moment would go down in human history. First contact with the most powerful civilization in the known galaxy. Earth United had chosen the Horizon for this mission because it was their best ship, part explorer, part diplomat, and yes, part warship. No one ventured into space without protection. "Send the message," Tay ordered. Standard greeting package, all languages, all formats. Kang pressed a series of buttons. "Message away, Captain." The bridge fell silent. The 12 crew members present barely breathed as they waited. Minutes passed. "Captain," called out Officer Yoon from the sensor station. Her short black hair framed a face now lined with worry. "I'm picking up movement. Multiple ships coming out of what appears to be faster-than-light travel." "Show me," Tay said. The main screen changed to show 5 vessels appearing. They were unlike anything humans had built, curved like giant seashells with glowing blue lines running along their hulls. "They're big," whispered Gil, the youngest officer on the bridge. He was right. The smallest alien ship was twice the size of the Horizon. "Are they responding to our message?" Tay asked. Kang shook his head. "No, sir. Wait. They're scanning us. Very intense scans." Miles away on the lead hegemony vessel, Commander Ryu stared in disbelief at the readings on his display. "Confirm this data," he demanded, his silver uniform gleaming under the ship's lights. "Is that really a human vessel?" Officer Jin, the communications specialist, checked his instruments again. "Yes, Commander. Definitely human. Their signal identifies them as the Horizon from Earth United." Ryu's 4 fingers tapped nervously on the arm of his chair. This was bad. Very bad. The Hegemony Council had been watching humans for decades. These creatures had gone from primitive planetary flight to near light-speed travel in less than a century. It had taken the Hegemony's founding species over 500 years to achieve the same. "What weapons do they have?" Ryu asked. Officer, Park at the tactical station, looked up from her screen. "Energy weapons similar to our low-grade destroyers, but there's something odd about their shield configuration. It's different from our models." "Different how?" Ryu demanded. "I can't tell exactly," Park admitted. "But they're not following standard equations." Ryu frowned. That was the problem with humans. They never did things the way they were supposed to. The reports he'd read described them as dangerously creative and unpredictably adaptive. "Sir," Jin called out. "They're sending another message. They claim to be a diplomatic vessel." Ryu laughed sharply. "Diplomatic? With those weapons? Who do they think they're fooling?" He stood up and paced the command floor. The Hegemony had strict rules about first contact. New species were supposed to be approached carefully, studied for centuries before any interaction. But humans had developed too quickly. The normal rules hadn't been followed because humans hadn't followed a normal development path. "Sir, what should we do?" asked Jin. "The Council hasn't sent instructions for this situation." Ryu stopped pacing. The Council was 15 light-years away. By the time he got their advice, this human ship could be deep in Hegemony space. He had to make a decision now. "Send a warning shot," he ordered finally. "Not too close. Just enough to show them we're serious." Park looked surprised. "A warning shot at a diplomatic vessel? It's no diplomatic vessel," Ryu snapped. "No one arms diplomats like that. They're testing our borders, seeing how we respond. We need to show strength." Back on the Horizon, alarms suddenly blared. "Energy weapon fired," Yoon shouted. "It passed 2 kilometers to our starboard side." Tay's body tensed, but his voice remained steady. "Was that a miss or a warning?" "Definitely a warning," said Mun, the tactical officer. His hands were already moving across his console, bringing the ship's defenses online. "They could have hit us if they wanted to." Tay nodded slowly. So that's how they want to play this. Defensive positions but do not charge weapons yet. Crew moved with practiced efficiency. The Horizon might be on a peaceful mission, but every person aboard had trained for combat. Earth's history had taught humans to always be ready for the worst. "Captain," Kang called out. "I'm picking up communications between their ships. Our computer is having trouble translating, but I'm catching words like dangerous and unpredictable." Tay allowed himself a small smile. "They're afraid of us." "Why would they be afraid?" Gil asked. "Their ships are much bigger." "Size isn't everything in space," Mun replied, "and they've obviously been watching us for some time." Tay turned to his first officer, Commander Lee, a tall woman who had served with him for 7 years. "What do you think they've seen that scares them?" Lee considered for a moment. "Our history, maybe. We've fought more wars in 1,000 years than some species might in 10,000. Or our adaptability," offered Yoon. "We went from horses to space stations in 300 years. On the hegemony vessel, Ryu was growing more concerned. The human ship had not fled as expected. Instead, it was adjusting its position in a series of quick, precise movements. "What are they doing?" he demanded. Park studied her screen. They're creating a defensive posture that still maintains clear communication lines. It's a standard military diplomatic stance, but I've never seen it executed with such precision." Jin looked up from his station, his face pale. "Sir, I've completed a full translation of their initial message. They're offering trade agreements and cultural exchange. They've included their full history and scientific knowledge as a gift." "A gift," Ryu repeated. "No species does that. Knowledge is power in the galaxy. You earn it, trade for it, or take it." "They've also mapped out a proposed neutral meeting location," Jin continued, "with suggested safety protocols for both sides." Ryu sank back into his chair. These humans were making all the right diplomatic moves while simultaneously demonstrating superior tactical positioning. It made no sense. Species were either good at war or good at peace, not both. "Sir," Park said urgently, "they're moving again." The human ship was now performing a series of maneuvers that the hegemony's tactical computers were struggling to analyze. It wasn't attacking, but it wasn't retreating either. It was dancing. "What is this?" Ryu whispered. "I believe," said his second-in-command slowly. "They are showing us what they could do if they wanted to fight." A chill ran down Ryu's spine as he watched the human vessel execute moves his larger ships couldn't match. On the horizon, Tay finished demonstrating his ship's agility and opened a channel. "This is Captain Tay of Earth United Vessel Horizon. We came in peace and we still desire peace, but know this. We are not afraid of you. Now, shall we try this first contact again, as equals this time?" The message went out in all formats, to all 5 hegemony ships. And in that moment, a new chapter in galactic history began. One where humans would not enter the stars as servants or subjects, but as a force that even the mighty hegemony would have to respect. Ryu stared at the message on his screen and whispered to himself, "Who let a human warship get this close? And what will the council say when they find out?" A heavy silence filled the grand council chamber of the galactic hegemony. 12 alien leaders sat around a massive table made of rare blue crystal. The room was on Central Station, the heart of hegemony power, far from where the human ship waited. Admiral Song, head of the Hegemony Defense Force, stood at the center of the room. His tall, thin body seemed stiff with anger. "Let me understand this clearly," he said. His voice was low but sharp. "A single human vessel not only entered our border zone without permission but also refused to leave when warned?" Commander Ryu's image floated above the table. He was still on his ship, facing the human vessel. "That is correct, Admiral. They received our warning shot but did not retreat. Instead, they demonstrated superior maneuverability and sent another peace message." "Superior maneuverability?" asked one of the council members, a female with purple skin named Hua. "Compared to what?" "Compared to our patrol ships," Ryu admitted. Even through the hologram, everyone could see his embarrassment. "Their movements, Do not follow standard patterns. We cannot predict what they will do next. Admiral Song slammed his fist on the table. This is unacceptable. How did they even get this close to our core systems? Who failed in their duty? No one answered. Everyone knew the truth. The humans had advanced too quickly. The hegemony had been watching Earth for only 80 years. In that short time, humans had gone from primitive orbital stations to ships that could challenge hegemony vessels. What do we know about their weapons? Asked Council Leader Dal, an older alien with skin that looked like stone. They have energy, weapons similar to our designs, Ryu reported. But their shield technology is unusual. It seems to adapt in real time. This news caused several council members to whisper among themselves. Adaptive shields were theoretical in hegemony science. No one had made them work properly. And what do these humans want? Dal asked. They claim to seek peaceful contact and trade, Ryu said. They have offered their scientific knowledge as a gesture of goodwill. A trick, Song declared. No species gives away knowledge freely. Hua leaned forward. Unless they have so much that sharing some costs them nothing. Meanwhile, aboard the human ship Horizon, Captain Tay was holding his own meeting with his senior officers. They're scared of us, said Commander Lee, looking at the sensor readings of the 5 hegemony ships. They're keeping a safe distance now. Tay nodded. Fear is dangerous. It makes people do stupid things. We need to show them we're not a threat. Without looking weak, added Moon, the tactical officer. They respect strength. That much is clear. Officer Su, the ship's chief engineer, had been quiet until now. She was young, but brilliant. Captain, I've been studying their shield frequencies. They follow a pattern. What kind of pattern? Tay asked. Su brought up a diagram on the meeting room screen. It's a mathematical sequence, complex but predictable. If we time it right, we could send a communication signal through their shields without them blocking it. Tay's eyes widened. You mean we could talk directly to their command center? Yes, Su said. Not to attack, but to communicate. To show them we understand their technology but choose not to use that knowledge as a weapon. Tay thought for a moment. Do it. But make it clear we're not hacking them. We're just knocking on their door politely. While Su went to work, the Hegemony Council continued their debate. We should destroy the human ship now, Admiral Song insisted. Make an example of them. Show them the cost of trespassing. Council Leader Dal raised his hand. That would be unwise. If this ship is as advanced as you say, their home world may have more. Destroying it might start a war we don't understand. We are the hegemony, Song said proudly. We have ruled this sector of the galaxy for 10,000 years. These humans are barely out of their Stone Age. And yet, Hua pointed out, their Stone Age ship has your fleet commander worried. Before Song could reply, a junior officer rushed into the council chamber. Forgive the interruption, he said with a bow, but we have received a direct message from the human vessel. It came through our shields as if they weren't there. Impossible, shouted Song. The officer activated a display. Captain Tay's face appeared, calm and confident. Greetings to the Hegemony Council, Tay said. I apologize for this unusual method of communication, but standard channels seem to be restricted. I am Captain Tay of Earth United. We come seeking friendship, not conflict. To prove our goodwill, we are sending you the formula for how we penetrated your shield frequency. This is not an attack, but a demonstration that knowledge shared benefits everyone. The message ended, and data began flowing onto the hegemony screens. How did they do this? Song demanded. How did they know we were even having this meeting? On the horizon, Su looked up from her console with a smile. Message delivered, Captain, and I included a little gift, the formula for predictive shield harmonics. It's technology we developed 2 years ago. Will they understand it? Lee asked. Yes, Su said, but it will probably take them months to implement it. We're giving them something valuable but not our most advanced tech. Tay nodded. Perfect. Now we wait. Back in the council chamber, the hegemony scientists were already reviewing the human data. This is remarkable, one of them said. The mathematics are elegant. If implemented, this would improve our shield efficiency by at least 30%. Admiral Song looked furious. They're trying to buy our goodwill with stolen technology. How could it be stolen? Asked Hua. We don't even have this technology ourselves. Council leader Dal studied the data carefully. No, this is not theft or trickery. This is a genuine offer of friendship, but from a position of strength. These humans are showing us they could have attacked but chose to help instead. A clever strategy, said another council member. One we have not seen before. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Han of Earth United Space Command received Captain Tay's update on the situation. So they fired a warning shot, Han said, his weathered face showing concern. And now you've sent them shield technology? Yes, Admiral, Tay replied through the secure quantum link. I believe it was the right move. They respect strength but fear our unpredictability. By giving them something valuable, we show both friendship and confidence. Han stroked his chin thoughtfully. It's a bold move, Tay. The council here is divided. Some want to recall you immediately. Others want to send the 7th Fleet to back you up. What do you recommend, sir? Tay asked. I recommend you continue exactly as you are, Han said with a slight smile. Your instincts have been good so far, but I'm going to position the 7th Fleet just outside their sensor range. If things go bad, you won't be alone. As the quantum link closed, Tay turned to look at the main screen. The 5 hegemony ships had changed their formation. They were no longer in attack position but had formed a ceremonial line. Captain, called Kang from communications. We're receiving a message from the hegemony ships. Text only. It says the council will receive your diplomatic party. Prepare to board Central Station. A cheer went up from the bridge crew. We did it, Lee said quietly to Tay. First contact. Tay nodded, but his face remained serious. The hard part is just beginning. Now we have to convince them that humanity belongs among the stars as equals, not subjects. And aboard the hegemony command ship, Commander Ryu watched the human vessel with new respect and whispered to himself, These humans will change everything. I only hope the hegemony is ready. Lieutenant Min checked her uniform one last time. The small mirror in her quarters showed a confident officer in the standard blue and gold of Earth United. What it didn't show was the knot of worry in her stomach. Ready? Asked Captain Tay. Appearing at her door, Min nodded. Yes, sir, though I still think I should go alone first. Tay smiled slightly. The council invited a diplomatic party, not a lone spy. I'm not a spy, Min corrected. I'm a cultural specialist, and sending one person is less threatening than a group. They walked down the corridor toward the shuttle bay. Crew members nodded, respectfully as they passed. Your plan is too risky, Tay said quietly. We don't know enough about the station or the hegemony's real intentions. Min stopped walking. That's exactly why I need to go first. I can blend in, learn their ways, find out what they really think of us. And if they catch you, then you have the perfect reason to be angry and leave. Min smiled. But they won't catch me. My implants will help me understand their language perfectly. My face is common enough to not stand out. Tay considered for a moment. Min was his best cultural specialist. Her talent for understanding alien thinking had saved missions before, and she was right. Sending a full diplomatic team in blindly was dangerous. Very well, he finally said. But you'll have 12 hours only. Then the official party arrives whether you're back or not. Min's smile widened. I only need 6. 2 hours later, a small maintenance pod left the horizon. It was so tiny that the hegemony sensors barely noticed it among the regular traffic around Central Station. The huge space station was like a small city, with thousands of ships coming and going. Inside the pod, Min wore a service uniform she had created based on images from the hegemony data they had downloaded. It wasn't perfect, but in a busy station, people rarely looked closely at maintenance workers. The pod docked at a service entrance. Min took a deep breath and stepped out. Her heart was pounding, but her face remained calm. She pushed a floating tool cart ahead of her and walked with purpose. The first thing that struck her was the size. Central Station was enormous, with ceilings so high she could barely see them. The second thing was the variety of aliens. There were at least 20 different species walking, floating, or crawling through the main hall. Min kept her head down and moved toward a service corridor. Her implant was working perfectly, translating the strange symbols on the walls into directions she could follow. "You worker," a voice called out. Min froze, then slowly turned. A tall, blue-skinned alien in a silver uniform was pointing at her. "Yes, supervisor?" she answered, using the proper term of respect she had learned from the data. "There's a leak in Section 12. Go fix it," Min bowed slightly. "Right away, supervisor." This was perfect. With a legitimate task, she could move freely around the station. As she pushed her cart toward Section 12, she listened carefully to conversations around her. "Humans actually gave us shield technology," one technician was saying to another. "Probably a trick," his companion replied. "Or something they stole from another race. But what if it's not? What if they really are that advanced?" Min smiled to herself and kept moving. Meanwhile, on the horizon, Captain Tay prepared the official diplomatic team. Commander Lee would lead the group, with Officer Ju as the main translator. "Remember," Tay instructed them, "we come as equals, not suppliants. Be respectful but firm. The hegemony needs to understand that humans won't be pushed around." "What about Min?" asked Lee. "Any word from her?" Tay shook his head. "Not yet, but she knows what she's doing." Back on Central Station, Min had fixed the leak. It was a simple task for someone trained on Earth's more complex systems, and was now wandering the upper levels. She had discovered something interesting. The station had a public viewing area for council meetings. She slipped into the back of the gallery and watched as the Hegemony Council argued about humans. Admiral Song was speaking, his voice angry. "They come with one ship and we invite them to our heart? This is madness. They come with one ship that penetrated our defenses and gave us valuable technology," Councillor Hua replied. "That deserves respect." "Or caution," said another council member. "No species has ever advanced so quickly. From primitive rockets to space travel beyond their system in less than 2 centuries? It's unnatural." Council Leader Dal raised his hand for silence. "We must judge these humans by their actions, not our fears. So far, they have shown restraint and goodwill. Then why do our border sensors detect a fleet of human warships just beyond our space?" demanded Admiral Song. Min tensed. The 7th Fleet wasn't supposed to be detectable. Earth's stealth technology must not be as advanced as they thought. Dali seemed unsurprised. "Would you not position your forces similarly if you were them? They sent one ship openly while keeping others ready if needed. It's what any of us would do." "Exactly," Song said. "They think like warriors, not diplomats." An older council member Min didn't recognize spoke up. "Perhaps they are both. Remember the data we reviewed on human history? They fight constantly, among themselves, yet also build complex cooperative societies. They are contradictions." Min smiled. That was perhaps the most accurate description of humanity she had heard. She slipped out of the gallery and continued exploring. She needed to find the diplomatic reception area before the official party arrived. As she rounded a corner, she nearly bumped into a small alien pushing a cart similar to hers. "Sorry," Min said automatically. The alien looked up at her with 4 large eyes. "No problem, haven't seen you before. New assignment?" Min nodded. "Just transferred. Still learning my way around. You're lucky. Everyone's too busy with the human visit to check worker IDs. Perfect time to slack off." The alien laughed. Min laughed too and kept moving. So security was focused on the diplomatic area. Interesting. She found a quiet corner and activated her hidden communicator. "Min to Horizon," she whispered. "Tay here," came the immediate response. "Report." "The council is divided about us," Min said quickly. "Some fear us, others respect us. They detected the 7th Fleet, which Admiral Song is using to paint us as aggressive." Tay was silent for a moment. "Understood. Anything else?" "Yes. I've located the diplomatic reception area. Security is heavy but focused on official entrances. There's a service corridor that might be useful if things go wrong. Good work, Tay said. The diplomatic shuttle leaves in 2 hours. Will you be back by then? Min watched as a group of hegemony officials hurried past. No, I think I'll stay on the station. I can be your inside eyes and ears. That's not the plan, Lieutenant, Tay said, his voice stern. Plans change, Captain. Trust me. I've learned more in 3 hours than our diplomatic team would learn in a week of official meetings. After a pause, Tay reluctantly agreed. Very well, but check in every 2 hours. If we don't hear from you, we'll assume the worst. Understood. Min out. She put away her communicator and continued her exploration. In the next hour, she discovered 3 different exit routes from the diplomatic area and overheard 2 more conversations about humans. One was a group of junior officers betting on whether humans had tentacles under their uniforms. The other was more serious. 2 senior officials discussing how human trade could change the balance of power in the hegemony. As the time for the official diplomatic meeting approached, Min positioned herself in a maintenance alcove near the reception room. From here she could watch without being seen. The hegemony honor guard formed 2 perfect lines. Admiral Song stood at the front, his face tight with barely controlled hostility. Council leader Dal stood beside him, looking more welcoming. The doors opened and Commander Lee led the human diplomatic team into the room. They wore formal Earth United uniforms, simple but elegant. Welcome to Central Station, Dal said, stepping forward. We are honored to receive representatives of Earth. Lee bowed slightly. The honor is ours, Council Leader. We bring greetings from Captain Tay and all of humanity. As the formal introductions began, Min watched Admiral Song carefully. The Admiral's hands were clenched at his sides, and his eyes darted around the room as if looking for hidden threats. He's afraid, Min realized. Not just cautious or hostile, genuinely afraid. And fear was the most dangerous emotion in diplomatic situations. She needed to warn Lee somehow, but before she could think of a way, Song stepped forward. Before we proceed, the Admiral said, loudly, I must ask, why does your warship remain so close to our station, and why do you hide a fleet at the edge of our space? The diplomatic dance had begun, and Min knew it would take all of humanity's skill to turn the hegemony's fear into respect. Commander Lee kept her face calm as Admiral Song's question hung in the air. Inside, her mind raced to find the right answer. The truth might offend, but a lie would be discovered eventually. Admiral, she said carefully, our ship remains close because this is our first contact. We have no embassy here, no safe zone. As for the fleet at the edge of your space, they are there for the same reason your ships patrol your borders. Standard security protocol. Admiral Song's eyes narrowed. So you admit you brought a war fleet to our doorstep? We brought a protective escort to the edge of your territory, Lee corrected. They will not enter without permission or... She paused. Extreme need. The implied threat was clear, and a murmur ran through the hegemony officials present. Council Leader Dal stepped forward. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in the council chamber. The full council is waiting to meet our human visitors. The group moved toward the grand doors at the end of the hall. Min slipped from her hiding place. She needed to find another way into the council chamber. Her worker disguise wouldn't get her past the guards at the main entrance. Meanwhile, on the horizon, Captain Tay watched the diplomatic mission unfold through Commander Lee's hidden camera. The video feed was being transmitted back to the ship through a secure channel. They're more afraid than I expected, Tay said to Officer Kang. Is that good or bad? Kang asked. Both. Fear makes them cautious, which gives us time. But it also makes them dangerous, like a cornered animal. Tay touched his communication panel. Any word from Lieutenant Min? Nothing since her last check-in, the communications officer replied. Tay frowned. Min was taking too many risks, but her information had been valuable. Admiral Song's hostility was no surprise, but knowing he had detected the 7th Fleet changed their strategy. Back on the station, the human diplomatic team entered the Grand Council chamber. 12 alien council members sat in a semicircle on raised seats. In the center of the room was a single chair, clearly meant for the human representative. It was slightly lower than the council seats, a subtle but clear message about who had the power here. Commander Lee noticed this immediately but showed no reaction. She took the seat and gestured for Officer Ju to stand behind her. "We welcome the representatives of Earth." Council leader Dal began formally. "This is an historic moment for the galactic hegemony." "And for Earth," Lee replied with a respectful nod. "We have long wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we are part of a greater community." Dal smiled. "A community with rules, traditions, and hierarchies that have served us for 10,000 years. Lee caught the hint. Earth respects tradition, but we also value progress and new ideas. From her position in a small maintenance tunnel that ran behind the council chamber, Min could hear everything through a ventilation grate. She had found this perfect hiding spot just minutes before the meeting began. Now she took detailed notes on each council member's reactions. Admiral Song stood to one side of the council semicircle, his face dark with suspicion. "Let us speak plainly," he said. "Your ship arrived uninvited at the border of our territory. When warned, you demonstrated hostile maneuvers. You then penetrated our communications security. Why should we see these as the actions of a peaceful species?" Before Lee could answer, Counselor Hua spoke up. "Perhaps we should also speak of how we fired upon a ship sending peace messages, Admiral. Let us not pretend our hands are clean in this matter." Song glared at her but remained silent. Lee seized the opportunity. "We understand your caution. Any advanced civilization must protect itself. But consider our perspective. We ventured into the unknown, discovered a vast empire on our borders, and were fired upon when we offered friendship. Yet we still seek peace. What does that tell you about humanity?" An older council member leaned forward. "It tells us you are either remarkably forgiving or remarkably confident." Lee smiled. "Perhaps both, Counselor." In her hiding place, Min noticed something interesting. 3 of the council members were passing data tablets among themselves, sharing information that wasn't being spoken aloud. She zoomed in with her enhanced vision to try to read what was on the screens. The tablets showed images of Earth's history, wars, technological breakthroughs, and population growth curves. The hegemony had been studying humans very carefully. One image in particular caught her attention: Earth's recovery after the climate crisis of the 2030s. The data showed how humans had adapted to near disaster and emerged stronger. The note beside it read, "Unprecedented adaptation rate, possible threat level maximum." Min quickly sent this information to the horizon through her hidden communicator. In the council chamber, the discussion had turned to trade possibilities. "What could Earth possibly offer the hegemony?" asked a council member with green skin. "We have technologies thousands of years more advanced than yours." Lee remained calm. "Perhaps in some areas, but technology isn't everything. We offer new perspectives, art, culture, and yes, some innovations you might find valuable. Like the shield harmonics you shared," nodded Counselor Hua. "Exactly. And that was just a gesture of goodwill, not our most advanced technology." "Admiral," Song stepped forward. "Which raises the question, how did a supposedly young civilization develop such advanced shield technology? Did you steal it from someone else?" The room fell silent. This was a serious accusation. Lee stood up slowly. "Admiral, on Earth, we have a saying. Not everyone builds at the same pace. Some species might take thousands of years to develop technologies that others create in decades. We didn't steal anything. We simply think differently." "Differently how?" Dal asked, genuinely curious. "You value stability and tradition. We value adaptation and innovation. Your society discourages risk. Ours rewards it." From her hiding spot, Min could see the impact of Lee's words. Several council members were nodding thoughtfully. Others looked disturbed. Then Admiral Song made his move. "Enough diplomatic talk. I demand to know why a human agent is currently hiding on this station, disguised as a worker." Min froze. How had they discovered her? In the chamber, Lee's expression never changed. I'm not aware of any such agent, Admiral. Our entire diplomatic team is present. Don't lie to me, Song shouted. Our security systems detected unauthorized access to restricted areas. The biometric scans show a life form matching human patterns. Council Leader Dal raised his hand. Admiral, please. These are serious accusations. Do you have proof? I don't need proof. I need security. Song turned to the guards at the door. Lock down the station. Find the human spy. Alarms began to sound throughout Central Station. Min knew she had to move quickly. Her cover was blown, but she could still help the diplomatic mission by creating a distraction. She pulled a small device from her pocket, a harmless but impressive-looking gadget that Engineer Sue had created. It would release a bright flash and smoke, nothing more. Min pushed it through the ventilation grate into the council chamber and activated it. The device landed in the center of the room and immediately released a cloud of dense smoke along with a brilliant flash of light. Confusion erupted as security guards rushed toward the council members. In the chaos, Min slipped away from her hiding place and began moving through the maintenance tunnels toward the docking bay. She needed to get back to the horizon, or at least find a way to help Lee and the diplomatic team. On the horizon, Captain Tay watched the feed from Lee's camera turn to static as the smoke filled the room. What's happening? He demanded. Unknown, sir, replied Officer Moon at Tactical. But Central Station has just raised its shields, and weapon systems are powering up. Tay's face hardened. Battle stations, and contact the 7th Fleet. Tell them to move to yellow alert status but remain at their position. As the crew rushed to their posts, Tay stared at the massive space station on the main screen. Who let a human warship get this close? He murmured, echoing the hegemony's fear. You did, and now you'll have to deal with us one way or another. Smoke filled the council chamber. Guards rushed to protect the council members. In the confusion, Commander Lee remained perfectly still in her seat. She made no move to run or fight. Instead, she waited calmly for the smoke to clear. When it did, Admiral Song pointed at her angrily. Arrest her! This was clearly a human attack. Lee slowly stood up. If we wanted to attack, Admiral, we would not use smoke. This is someone else's doing. Council Leader Dal raised his hand. No one is to be arrested, not yet. He looked at Lee with new interest. Most visitors would panic in such a situation. You did not. Panic solves nothing, Lee replied simply. And your ship? Dal asked. What will Captain Tay do now that our station's defenses are raised? Lee met his gaze directly. That depends on what you do next. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Min was moving quickly through the maintenance tunnels. Station security teams were everywhere. She needed to find a way off the station or at least contact the horizon. She turned a corner and nearly ran into 2 security officers. They stared at her in surprise, then reached for their weapons. Min was faster. She ducked under their arms and sprinted past them. Her earthborn muscles, developed in higher gravity than most hegemony species experienced, gave her a speed advantage. Stop. Human intruder in Section 5. One guard shouted into his communicator. Min knew she couldn't outrun the entire station security force. She needed a new plan. Ahead, she saw a door marked with symbols her implant translated as Communication Hub. Perfect. On the horizon, Captain Tay faced a difficult decision. The station's shields were up, and his diplomatic team was trapped inside. The hegemony ships had moved into defensive positions around the station. Options? He asked his officers. Mon at Tactical spoke first. We could try to punch through their shields with a focused beam, but it would be seen as an attack. The 7th Fleet could be here in 20 minutes at maximum speed, offered Commander Kang. Engineer Sue shook her head. That would definitely start a war. Tay nodded. We wait. 5 more minutes. If we haven't heard from Lee or Min by then, we'll try to open communications with Council Leader Dal directly. And if that fails? Kang asked quietly. Then we show them why humans are so feared, Tay said, his voice hard. In the communication hub on the station, Min quickly disabled the 2 technicians on duty with a sleep gas from her emergency kit. Then she took control of the main console. Her fingers flew over the alien controls, guided by her implant's translations. She couldn't access the main communication system, but she found something better: the station's internal announcement system. In the council chamber, the guards had restored order. Admiral Song was still demanding Li's arrest, while Counselor Hua argued for calm. Suddenly, every screen in the chamber lit up with images of Earth's history, not the wars and conflicts the hegemony had focused on, but humanity's achievements: the end of diseases, the healing of Earth's climate, the peaceful unification of nations. Min's voice came through the speakers, calm and clear. People of the hegemony, look at what humans have accomplished. Yes, we fought wars. Yes, we made mistakes, but we learned from them. We grew. We healed our world and ourselves. New images appeared. Earth's great forests restored, clean cities powered by renewable energy, children from different nations playing together. You fear us because we are different, Min continued, because we change quickly. But change isn't always a threat. Sometimes it's salvation. In the communication hub, Min knew she had only seconds before security found her. She sent one final message: the choice is yours, hegemony. Fear us and create an enemy, or accept us and gain an ally like none you've ever known. The screens went dark as security forces burst into the hub. Min raised her hands in surrender. Back in the council, chamber silence reigned. The council members looked at each other, then at Commander Li. Admiral Song broke the silence. More human trickery and lies. Was anything she said untrue? Li asked quietly. Before Song could answer, Council Leader Dal stood up. I have made a decision. All eyes turned to him. This situation has gone too far. We will speak with Captain Tay directly. What? Song exploded. You would reward their spying and invasion of our systems? I would prevent unnecessary conflict, Dal replied firmly. Counselors, we have spent hours debating the human threat. Yet in that time, they have shown restraint despite our provocations. Their ship has not fired a single weapon. Their agent used smoke, not explosives. These are not the actions of conquerors. On the horizon, a message finally came through. Captain Tay, said the communications officer, we're receiving a direct transmission from Council Leader Dal. Tay straightened his uniform. On screen, Dal's face appeared. Captain Tay, this first contact has not gone as either of us hoped, but I believe we can still salvage peace. I agree, Tay said. What do you propose? Lower your ship's defensive posture. We will lower the station shields. Then you and I will meet face-to-face with minimal guards. Leader to leader. Tay considered for a moment. And my diplomatic team? And Lieutenant Min? Dal looked surprised that Tay knew about Min's capture, but he recovered quickly. All will be returned to your ship unharmed, regardless of our discussion's outcome. Agreed, Tay said. I will come to the station in 1 hour. When the transmission ended, Kang looked worried. Captain, this could be a trap. It could be, Tay agreed, but sometimes you must take risks for peace. 1 hour later, Captain Tay stepped into the small, private meeting room on Central Station. Only Council Leader Dal was there, as promised. Thank you for coming, Dal said. Your bravery honors your species. As does your wisdom, Tay replied, taking the offered seat. Let us speak honestly, Dal said. Your Lieutenant Min was correct. We fear you because you are different. Humans adapt and change at a rate we find disturbing. Tay nodded. Change is in our nature. We cannot stop it any more than you can stop being what you are. And what are we, in your eyes? Dal asked, curiously. A civilization that values order and stability. There is value in that, just as there is value in growth and change. Perhaps we could learn from each other. Dal was silent for a long moment. The council is divided. Many fear war with humans would be costly, even if we won. It would be, Tay said simply. But friendship with humans could benefit everyone. We don't want your territory or to rule your people. We want to explore, to trade, to learn. And to change us, Dal said. Tay smiled slightly. Change comes to all things in time. The question is whether we direct that change together or fight against each other. 6 months later, the Horizon returned to Earth. Captain Tay stood on the bridge as his ship passed the new joint human hegemony space station at the edge of the solar system. Hard to believe it's only been half a year, Commander Lee said, standing beside him. The Galactic Concordat is just the beginning, Tay replied. We still have much work to do. On the main screen, a message appeared from Admiral Han. The Council has approved the joint scientific mission. The hegemony ship Peaceful Discovery will arrive next month with their researchers, Tay smiled. See? Progress. All because they panicked over one human warship getting too close, Lee said with a small laugh. Far away on Central Station Council, Leader Dal stood with Admiral Song, watching a group of human engineers working alongside hegemony technicians to upgrade the station's systems. I still think this is a mistake, Song grumbled. They'll change everything. Yes, Dal agreed. They will. But perhaps some things need to change. And if they try to take control? Song asked. Dal turned to his old friend. Then we'll remind them that while we may be slower to adapt, we are not without strength or wisdom. But I don't think it will come to that. Humans are strange, but in their strangeness lies possibility. Later that day, Lieutenant Min, now Ambassador Min, presented her credentials to the Hegemony Council. As she looked around at the alien faces that had once feared her, she remembered hiding in the maintenance tunnels, running from guards, and broadcasting her desperate message. Who would have thought, she said in her speech, that a simple question, who let a human warship get this close, would lead to the greatest alliance the galaxy has ever known? The council members applauded, even Admiral Song, though his clap was notably less enthusiastic than the others. In the vastness of space, other civilizations watched with interest and some concern as humans, and the hegemony began working together. Old enemies of the hegemony wondered what this new alliance would mean. Young species saw hope that they too might someday find their place among the stars. And on 1,000 worlds, people looked up at the night sky with new understanding. The universe was not just vast and ancient, but also changing, growing, and full of possibility, all because a human warship got too close and two civilizations chose understanding over fear.